Okay, so everyone, welcome to Kol Kol Shira in partnership with Breslov.org and of course Yeshiva Torah Shimon. So this week we have Parshat Matot-Masei. We have a double parsha. They're both lengthy parshiyos. Almost every time Matot-Masei is read together. There are certain times it's not. But even this year we have it's a leap year, and all the other parshiyos, right, like Achrei Mos Kedoshim and all the other ones, were not read together. But this parsha, Matot-Masei, is almost always read together. So there's many reasons for that. We know that really all when we bring parshiyos together, it's bringing achdus to Klal Yisrael. It's bringing an achdus to Klal Yisrael. Now, most of the double parshiyos there's a theme that really connects the two parshiyos, right? Like you have Achrei Mos and then Kedoshim. You have different. There's a theme that they normally connect. When it comes to Parshas Matot-Masei, there's no real connection between the two parshiyos. I mean, Matos is talking about Nidarim. We go through the Milchama of Midian. There's so many things in Parshas Matos, but then we come to Parshas Masei, and then we're talking about the journeys. So really, what is the so one nice thought is that we could possibly I'd like to introduce is this, that within Klal Yisrael, we have many different types of Jews. There are many different types of Jews. And even though I have nothing to do with, let's say, my friend here, that I don't have the same views as him, he doesn't have the same views as I have, but yet we're still achim, we're still brothers. And maybe that's why these parshas are linked together to teach us, especially in this time. We're in the 3 weeks to Bein HaMetzarim, and the whole idea of the Bein HaMetzarim is to get us back that we should not have the sinas chinam, but we should rather have a havas chinam. So maybe the parshas are demonstrating this by putting these two parshas together that really don't seem to have anything to do one to the other. That's one idea. And Rabbi Yehuda, you like that idea? Yeah? Okay, here we go. Now, so let's understand another thing. Now we have these two. We're in the month now of Tammuz, and we're going to be this week is Shabbos Chazak. It's also Shabbos Mevarchim, and it's Shabbos Mevarchim Menachem Av. Now we know that the months are the Tammuz is the 4th month, Av is the 5th month, and we know that the months are keneged the Shvatim, right? We have them. They go by numbers, and they're also keneged the Shvatim. So we know that Tammuz is keneged Shevet Shimon, right? And we know that Av is keneged Shevet Ruvain. Ruvain is Av, Shimon is Tammuz. Av we can understand really because you know that Ruvain really was supposed to have the kahuna. Ruvain was supposed to be the most very important. That he's the Bechor. But what happened was we know that there was a Maisa that took place where after Rachel had passed away. So Yaakov had moved his bed into the tent with Bilhah, right? The maidservant, which she was the maidservant of Rachel Imenu. So he moved his bed into that tent. Ruvain got angry about that. And he moved the bed. He took the bed out and he put the bed in the tent of Leah. Yaakov Avinu didn't like that. And it says that over there that it was pachas kamayim. He was so quick to get angry. He was so quick to do this. So therefore, he lost it. Ruvain lost. He lost the bechira. He lost the opportunity. Perhaps we could understand. Maybe that's why in Chodesh Av we also lost. We lost our luchos, right? Right, the shivrei, and we also lost the Beis Hamikdash, right? We lost the two Batei Mikdashim in the Chodesh Av. It's a sad thing. It's a very sad thing. But we know also Reuven was also the first one to really make tshuva. Reuven was really the first one to make tshuva. What does that mean? Reuven was the first one to make tshuva. We know when Shimon saw Yosef coming, and what did Shimon say? Let's take Shimon, let's kill him. He's the Bala. We'll take Yosef and we'll kill him. He's the Bala Chaloimos, this dream teller. Let's go. We're going to kill him. So you see that Shimon had a tremendous anger, and therefore Shimon didn't get the bracha. Shimon's bracha was included with Yehuda. It's a whole story, but okay, either way. But Reuven said, wait a second. Why should we kill him? Let's not kill him. Let's rather put him into a pit. So that was the tshuva of Reuven. That was Reuven's tshuva. Now Reuven did tshuva, the first one to really do tshuva by himself. He wasn't told to do tshuva. We had Cain, we had Hevel, right? We had Cain with the Maisa with Cain and Hevel. He also made tshuva, but he was kind of told, you have to make good. You got to rectify things, right? Here Reuven was the first one that made tshuva by himself. It's an interesting idea. It's now also you see that the month also. The month where we had this is the month where we had Chodesh Shabbos, where we had the Cheder Egel. The Cheder Egel took place, right? The Cheder Egel took place. Moshe Rabbeinu came down and he broke the luchos were broken, right? So you see, Moshe Rabbeinu also got angry. He saw the situation that was there. So you see, there's some kind of an anger that has to do with these months. It's an interesting thing just to think about. All right. Okay. So that's that idea. Now, then we go over to this idea of Midian, right? So the next thing the Torah tells us that Hashem says, "Go take revenge on Midian," and it's fascinating how many psukim and how detailed the milchama of Midian is. How detailed this milchama is, and how the distribution of the war booty that they did it. The Torah explains that as well. Unbelievable, really unbelievable. And then we know right after that it said that we know that we had Reuven, Shevet Reuven and Shevet Gad came to Moshe Rabbeinu and said, we have a lot of sheep, we have a lot of cattle, and perhaps there's not going to be as much grazing ground for the cattle as there is in over here on the eastern bank, right? They were Me'ever LaYarden on the east, and they said, so maybe we can have this land. Moshe Rabbeinu got very angry at them. He got very angry at them. He says, what? It wasn't enough that we had the Meraglim? What are you trying to do over here? So they came back and they said to Moshe Rabbeinu, no, we're not coming to do anything like that. Because really, if you understand the Torah, they came to Moshe, they came to Elazar Hakoyin, right? And they also came to the what do you call it? To the Nesiim. They brought all the Nesiim there also, so they weren't trying to hide anything. They came out and they said that we would like to have this. Is this okay if we can have this land? We appreciate what we were able to conquer, and can we have this land? So what happened was, Moshe Rabbeinu got very angry at them again. He got very angry at them. But they came back and they said, no, we'll go, we'll fight. It's not that we want to get out of the battle. We're not afraid to go out of the battle. We know Shevet God is a fierce Shevet. We're not afraid to go into the battle. Adarabah, we'll go into the battle. We'll go battle. We're going to go to the battle, and we're going to leave our family here. We're going to go ahead of the people. We'll be on the front line. We're going to go and be on the front line. Not that we're going to just go fight, that we'll be in the back. No, we'll go on the front line. Moshe Rabbeinu came back and he said, no, you're going to go in front of the Aron. Rather go in the front of the Aron Hashem. Rather, you have to know you're going with Hashem. Go in front of the Aron of Hashem, and if you do that, then it's going to be okay. And that's how it was decided. It's a fascinating, really a fascinating thing to understand that story. But going back to Midian, right? Going back to Midian, so Rav Tzaddik HaKohen says that Midian is the source of anger. Anger comes from Midian. Midian is the source of anger. And that's why we have Midian we spoke about Midian in last week's parsha. We bring Midian again because this is the time that we're in right now. But we also know that that this month, the month of Av, is really, we call it Menachem Av, right? It's called Menachem Av, right? When we're going to call when the Baal Tefillah is going to call out the month, he's going to say we're being Mevarech Chodesh Menachem Av. Why do we call it Menachem Av? Because it's understood that the name of Mashiach, his name is Menachem. We also want comfort. We want also comfort. Menachem means to have comfort. We want to be comforted. So therefore we call the month Menachem Av. Okay, that's another, just a side thing over there. Now, when it came to Midian, so we know that Yisro was from Midian, right? Yisro came from Midian. And we know that Yisro is a Gilgal of Cain. Yisro was a Gilgal of Cain. So it's fascinating, right? All these things that are happening all at one time. Yisro is a Gilgal of Cain. Cain was the first one that got angry, he got jealous, right? He was jealous of his brother. He was jealous of Hevel, and therefore he killed his brother. All right, so that was and what was his punishment? What was Cain's punishment? He would be Nov and Nod, right? Cain was punished that he has to what? He has to be a wanderer. What happened to Klal Yisrael? What does it say in Megillas Eicha? We were also Nov and Nod. We were also wanderers. We became wanderers after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. We also became wanderers, right? We know that the Romans took us into captivity. The Romans took us back to Rome, and they forced us to build that Colosseum, right? It was these were the captives that were taken from Eretz Yisrael that the Romans took, and that's how the Jews started out to be in Rome. And that's where it came from. That's an amazing things here. How all these things are really all connected to. Now we go on to the next parsha. We go on to the Parshat Masei, right? We talk about all of the journeys of Klal Yisrael. We go over the journeys of Klal Yisrael, and it's an interesting thing how really the names of the places were changed. These are not the same names. So the question is asked, why are these names different than they were called before? That's because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't want to embarrass us. So he changed the names around. I mean, these names, if you think about it, they don't really make a difference to us today what the names were. But Moshe Rabbeinu changed the names in order to not embarrass in order not to embarrass Klal Yisrael. He didn't want to embarrass Klal Yisrael for the mistakes that they made. So therefore, he waited, and also Moshe Rabbeinu is now giving us rebuke. Right? You see that Moshe Rabbeinu now is giving us rebuke. Moshe Rabbeinu waited. He waited to the end of his life. We know that the end of Sefer Bamidbar, right? When we start next week in Metz Hashem, next week we're going to start Sefer Devarim, right? Sefer Devarim is known as Mishnah Torah, right? It's the review. Moshe Rabbeinu reviews. Moshe Rabbeinu gives us rebuke. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu wait to give us rebuke to the end of his life? Because Moshe Rabbeinu wanted us to be successful. And he didn't want us to feel that he was angry at us. He was angry at us, and therefore he gave us the rebuke. Rather, he waited to the end of his life. For example, if you have let's say an older father, an older grandfather, that perhaps they're coming to their end, and they're on their deathbed, and they wait at that time, and they give their child Musar. They wait till that time to give their child Musar. So the child really can accept the Musar well. Why? He can accept the rebuke well. Why can he accept the Musar and the rebuke well at that time, because he knows it's coming out of love. He's not worried. He's not thinking that his father's angry at him at that time. He's not thinking his grandfather's angry. Whatever the grandfather suggests to him, he accepts. He says, thank you. He really accepts it. It means something. So therefore, I believe that's why Moshe Rabbeinu also waited to the end of his life. He waited to the end, where we know that Moshe Rabbeinu only lived maybe another 2 months after this. This was the end of his life. This was the end. Sefer Devarim is about 2 months of life, maybe 37, 38 days, I think it was, that Moshe Rabbeinu lived after that. That was it. So Moshe Rabbeinu starts his thing to give the rebuke now. So that's another interesting idea of why Moshe Rabbeinu waited to give the rebuke now, and he didn't want to do it. There's an interesting story with Rav Shach, right? The great Rosh Yeshiva Zatzal, that there was a gvir that lived in Yerushalayim, and he started some kind of a ma'aseh or some type of thing, and they weren't happy with what he was doing. They weren't happy with this ma'aseh. They weren't happy with this organization he set up. So they went to Rav Shach, and Rav Shach lived in Bnei Brak, and they asked Rav Shach after, when he was an older man already, he was up in his 90s. They asked him, "No, Rabbi, we have a problem. Maybe you can go and talk to this man, and maybe you can change his mind." So he said, "Sure, I'll go." So he went. It's a long trip, to go from Bnei Brak to Yerushalayim, especially with the traffic. He went. He came to this person's house in Yerushalayim. He was so happy that the Rosh Yeshiva came to see him. He was thrilled. And when he came in, the man's wife was so happy to see the Rosh Yeshiva. She went to fix some desserts, and she made tea and coffee, and she prepared everything so nice. Meanwhile, the Rosh Yeshiva sits down, right? The Rav Shach sits down with this man, and they're talking about, do you remember back in Lithuania where we were, when we were children? Do you remember over there, this little shtat, that day, this city, that city? And he's making small talk. And then a few minutes later, he says he motions to his gabbai. He says, "I'm ready to leave," and they leave. They asked the Rosh Yeshiva, "Why did you leave? You didn't get to talk about what you came there for." He said, "I'll tell you what happened." He said, "I saw that his wife, the man's wife, was standing in the room. She was in the room. How can I tell this man that while his wife is standing there, that something you're doing is no good? How can I do that? How can I embarrass him like that in front of his wife? I can't do that." So the Gabbai said to him, "But why didn't you tell me? I would have made her go. Maybe I would have said, 'Let's go. I want to help you in the kitchen with something. Maybe we have to go get whatever. I could move. I would have distracted her." The Rosh Yeshiva said, No. If she would even get wind that you're trying to get her out of their thing, you would cause a problem. I don't want to have any problems at all. You see how careful we have to be when someone rebukes somebody. You have to be so careful. So careful. How many times people go over to one another in front of their wife and they'll say, I realize, you used to come to the shir. Oh, I didn't see you in a while. Oh, I didn't see you in shul for a while. But you're going to do that? Chas v'shalom. What do you can't rebuke like that. That's all part of a sinas chinam. We have to work on making a havas chinam. Then the Torah goes on to describe to us also the borders in Eretz Yisrael. Right, all the borders in Eretz Yisrael, and he pointed in the Siyum that they were going to be in charge of giving out the land. Why was that important? Because we have to know what the borders are. Right, there are certain mitzvahs that are totally ba'aretz. Right, there are certain mitzvahs that are dependent on the land. And if you don't know, you have to know what the boundaries are to know which is Eretz Yisrael. What's Eretz Yisrael? Where the Truma and Maisa takes place. Where when you have Shemitah, when you have Yovel, where does it take place? And you have to know that. So that's why they were all decided over there. Also, we discussed the Arei Miklat. Right, we have the Arei Miklat. Right, we had six cities of refuge. 6 cities of refuge. The Holy Abder Rav, he brings down so beautiful. He says that why were there 6 cities of refuge? because the 6 cities of refuge are hinted to in the pasuk that we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. There are 6 words in that pasuk, and that's connected the 6 Arei Miklat. 3 of the cities of refuge were over Me'ever LaYarden, and they were set up, but they didn't go into effect until the other 3 that were set up in Eretz Yisrael proper. Okay, in Eretz Yisrael proper. And now you also had the Arei Leviim, right? There were 42 cities that were set up and designated for the Leviim. And in each of the cities of the Leviim, there was another mini Arei Miklat. Each one, there was an Arei Miklat there too. If you want to know more about this, you can look at the second parak in the Masechta Makos. It's the second, and it discusses all the beautiful things. It talks about the Goyal Adam, and it talks about the Retzeach, and it talks about the Kohen Gadol, and how the mother of the Kohen Gadol would always go around and make sure that there were nice things for the people, their residents that were in the city of refuge. Why? Because she would make sure to bake them cookies. She would make sure to give them clothing, what they needed, and they made sure that they had everything they needed. So they shouldn't daven because when the Kohen Gadol, when he would pass away, the they had cities of refuge. They were free. They were free to go. The Goyal Adam couldn't do anything to them anymore once the Kohen Gadol died. So they didn't want that the fellow would be these people would be davening that there should be the demise of her son. So therefore, she would give beautiful things to the people. Such a beautiful understanding because she wanted them to take care of her sons. Now, so you see now that Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad is hinted to where you have protection. So you should also know that learning Torah is also a protection. Right? Learning Torah the same way Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad is a pasuk in the Torah. It's also Torah is also our protection. So now let's see. Now, does anyone have any comments or questions so far? Anything? Everything's clear? Yeah? Okay, excellent. Okay, so let's look now inside over here. Let's look inside over here. Let's look at the piece over here which says Ish Ki Yidar Neder. So we'll learn a piece here from Rav Nosson. It's a beautiful understanding. The whole concept of a neder is a very, very strange thing, right? Where you make a neder, you take a vow, and now this thing that you took a vow against becomes prohibited to the person as any other Torah mitzvah, as any other mitzvah. It's the same. It makes no difference, and a person can do that all with his words. So here you see how important the words are. Excuse me. You see how important words are. Words are so important because you see what you could take on different things. So let's learn about this here. Parshat Matot-Masei me'inyan nedarim. Shayadei mitzvah zay shal nedarim royim umevinim goydel oitzim koyach hadibar. We see how important our words are. Shetekev. Let me move this up. Yeah, shetekev kishema b'tzivasav tzarich lekayim b'chol hayotzim mipiv. As soon as you utter your lips, move your lips, right? Right? When you move your lips and you make a statement, you have to fulfill your words. Whenever we say something, we have to make sure we fulfill it. We have to always be honest in what we say and so on. Ki be'emes inyan nedarim hu plia nizgova bebechinas ish ki yafli lindar neder nazir. A person takes on to become a nazir. He makes a neder. I want to become a nazir. I want to stay away from wine, and I can't get a haircut and the different things that pertain to a nazir. But he says these words. Ki heim bechinas plias chachma. This is a wonder. This is a wonder. Ki bezer royin gedulas adam abal bechira sheyesh leikoyach bepiv la'asais la'atzmei mitzvahs chadoshim shaloy nitztave bahem. So here you see that there are mitzvahs that we're not commanded for. We're not commanded for these mitzvahs. We're not commanded to do it. However, even though, Rivka, thank you for joining. That's my granddaughter. Rivka, you can say hello if you'd like to say hello. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And so here you have a mitzvah. You have a mitzvah that you weren't commanded for. You have something that you're allowed to eat. For example, you have an apple and you make a neder. I won't eat this apple. Now there's nothing wrong with the apple, right? It's not orla. It's not truma. It's not mice. It's a regular apple. You grew it in your backyard. In Chutz La'aretz, there's no problem at all. Now you make a neder, you're not going to eat this apple, you're not allowed to eat it. But this was mutter before. As I take if nesa olav adavra mutter be'isa Torah b'hu pliya v'haloi be'emes adavra ein shum isa b'sharshak. It has nothing. It's not usher in the shirish. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. Take if kishoyme b'piv. As soon as the person says, as soon as he says with his mouth, Sheyei Oser Olav Hadavar Afilu B'Layas Koras Hashem Ne'esa Olav Take Be'isa Choma Min HaTorah. He has a Torah prohibition for partaking in that thing, whatever he made the neder of, like any other Aveira, any other Isser in the Torah. Ba'ach Bazer Royin Gaidel Koyach Adam Habal B'Chira. You see here now how strong the strength of a person who's a Baal Bechira. We have free choice. We're people of free choice. The main power we have is with our mouth and with our hearts. What our heart desires and what we say with our mouths. If a person has in his heart, and he desires, and he wants, and he's pining to sanctify himself, for something of kedusha, to stay away from something, or precious, he wants to stay away from something. Anything else, it might say chishkoi over tzaynai bipiv azai nasa mizet Torah. He turns his words into now Torah. How do you like that? You could use your words, and your words now become Torah. Ki oz neser olav adover be'isa Torah. It has an Issa Torah on it. Ki be'emes nefesh Yisrael b'sharshay hu chelik elikam imal. We know that the nefesh of a person, right, is the neshama that we have is a chelik elikam imal. It's a part of Hashem. We have a part of Hashem in us. A chelik elikam imal v'hu ba'atzmai b'chinas Torah. That itself is Torah. Ki kutchabrichu v'ayraisa v'yisrael kulay chad. The Zohar Kodesh says, and we learned this many times, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Torah and the Jewish people are one unit. They're one unit. A Jew can't say that, I love Hashem, but I don't learn Torah. I have nothing to do with the Torah. That's not a Jew. We're all connected. You can't not be. You have to. A Jew is connected to Hashem, the Jewish people, and the Torah. We're all one. We're one unit. Kulay chad. We're one unit. So therefore, the person has the wherewithal in order to make a mitzvah, and it's a mitzvah like it is on his nefesh. Who kidei lekadesh es atzmai is to sanctify himself, the lifresh es atzmai metayvas, to take us away from our evil desires. A person has a taiva for something, so he can make a neder. I won't do that, and that'll help him. That'll help him overcome his desire for that thing that he shouldn't be partaking in. The bechinas nidarim, like it says in Pirkei Avos, siyag leprecious. Is a border. It's a protector. Let's use that word. It protects a person. It protects a person from getting involved in things that he's not supposed to get involved in. She'ilu hanidarim heim mitzvah nidar bahem. Right? Because elu hanidarim, these are nidarim heim mitzvah nidar bahem. It's a mitzvah to make a neder if it's going to protect you from doing something you're not supposed to do. It's a mitzvah to make such a neder. V'chein amru, sharei lei le'enesh nimdar lezurzei nafshei, v'ikar neder kishemoitzin bepiv. Right, you have to make sure when you do a neder, make sure you do it right away. V'ikar neder kishemoitzin bepiv. And do what you say. Make sure you do it. It's a very important thing. Make sure you say something, make sure you do it. Uvezer royin gadol kayach hadibar vifta sifasayim, and when my other move my lips, shala adam shayidei adibar hu yachal is gaber biyoyse velifroish atzmai afilu min haheter. He could take himself away from even something that was mutter for him to do. Nidarim sag leprecious, like we brought it down from Pirkei Avos. Kemaisha royim bechush. Mikol mi sheroitze lahargal es atzmei be'ezei kedusha leprecious shenimtsoyim harbe she'oisim neder aishvua al zeh. There are many that made a shvua for these things. Kigon lis'anois ezei yom. A person wants to take on a tainus. He wants to fast. He wants to take on a fast. So he makes a neder that I'll fast on this certain day. I won't eat any meat or fish or anything like that. Ezes man for a certain time. The guy will become a vegan for a certain time. Okay, whatever. Or, the Torah gives us there are requirements of how much you have to give for tzedakah. You don't have to give more than you're supposed to give. So again, a person wants to give more tzedakah, even though he's not required to. He can make a neder. I want to give this tzedakah. I want to do this. So he makes a neder, so therefore he won't go back on his words. V'lechayra hadavar temua, and this is really a wonder. Mimanashach. Wait a second. Im yesh b'koychay lizgaber al yitzroi. If the person can be misgaber, he can overpower his Yetzer Hara. So then why does he need to make a neder for? What is this? If the guy is so strong and he can overpower his Yetzer Hara and he can not do what he's supposed to do, so why does he need a neder? Even stronger. And if you're not sure that you're going to be able to overpower your Yetzer Hara in that item, whatever you made the neder on, so then why are you going to make the neder? Now you're going to be over the thing that you shouldn't do, plus you're going to be breaking a neder. That's a terrible thing. Here we see how great the neder really is. Everything, the main thing is to fulfill what you say. It comes to the wonders of Chachma, Shesham Shayrish HaBechira. That's the Shayrish HaBechira. We have free choice. You don't have to make a neder. That's free choice. If you want to make a neder, you make a neder. Misham Mekabel Koyach HaYedei Shemoitzei HaNeder Bepiv Sheyuchal Lizgaber Al Ma Shetzarech Lizgaber. And therefore the person makes the neder, so he can overpower what he has to overpower. Bevadai gam achekach kisheosa neder adayin yesh koyach lebechira la'atoisei chas v'sholom. He still has the koyach habechira after he made the neder, but he made the neder. Ki habechira yesh lo koyach gadol miyoi. Free choice. We have a free choice. It's a very powerful thing to choose the right thing. We see today most of the world chooses the wrong thing. Right? They don't know right from wrong. Right? They don't have any idea what's right, and they have no idea what's wrong. People make the wrong choices all the time. But when you're trying to connect to Hashem, and you're connecting to the achdus of Hashem, the oneness of Hashem, of course, you're going to make the right decisions. And when a person makes the right decisions, he makes that neder, and he has the koyach habechira. It's going to protect him. Al kein ezira Torah me'oid sheyishmol lekayim es nidroi. Therefore, the Torah says, whatever you say, make sure you fulfill your words. There's a lot of koyach. He gives the person an edge over his Yetzer Hara. It gives him an edge over his Yetzirah if he's going to make the neder. So now he's going to fight the Yetzirah that you want me to do this, and now I'm going to be over a neder also. He's not going to wind up doing that. Okay? K'maisha metzinu b'baya shomer Chai Hashem shichvi ala boiker. We know when Rus came over there to Megillah's Rus, right? You see this pasuk is from Megillah's Rus. Rus came to Boaz, and she stayed there. So Boaz made a neder. V'darshu Rabbeinu Zal, he made a neder. Why did he make Chai Hashem shichvi ala boiker? He made a thing that you'll stay with me till the morning. Why did he do that? V'darshu Rabbeinu Zal liyitzrei nishba. He made the neder to fight his Yetzirah. Could you believe this? Boaz was the Gadol Hador. Boaz was the Rosh at that time, and Boaz had to make a neder to fight his Yetzirah. Hear this? Boaz, he made a neder. It's written in the Megillah. He made the neder. Boaz was thinking, here's a prime example. If I don't make the neder, perhaps my Yetzirah will overpower me, and I'll be over on Aveira. He didn't want to chas v'sholem do that, therefore he made the neder. And through the shvua he stood the test. Because he was able to vanquish and overpower his Yetzirah. As Rabbi Nassan is testifying that he heard from Rabbi Nachman himself. He was constantly he was customary for him to make Nidarim, and this is from Shivchei Aran. It's an amazing idea. It's truly an amazing idea to understand what is really going on here, and why, and how important Nidarim really truly are. All right. So, does anyone have any questions on this? To understand the importance of a neder, maybe we have a new appreciation for our words now. How important our words really are. You know, they say sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never harm me. It's not true. That's not true at all. Words are very, very powerful, and they can be more damaging than even sticks and stones. More damaging. Words can be more damaging, but words can also be more beneficial when we take those words and we daven to Hashem, and we open up a Sefer Tehillim, and we read the Sefer Tehillim, and we connect to the words, and we feel the feelings of David HaMelech. We feel that we're in those words of the Tehillim. How wonderful that is. These are also our words. Anyone have any comments on this? Any questions? This is an open floor.
Yeah, comment, question.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, it seems to me that with the neder,
yes,
Hashem saying, just as I value my word above, because he said he puts his Torah above his word.
Yeah, okay.
So
the Torah is the word of Hashem. The Torah is the words of Hashem.
Yeah, he puts his word above his name, I think. But
okay,
anyway,
go ahead.
No, just quickly. The question is because when we do that neder, we do that vow, that's us speaking something, and he wants us to understand how important it is. Am I on the right track?
Yes, he wants us to understand how important our words really are. Yes, he wants us to. We need to understand how important our words are, right? Because he said, if I'm worried about my Yetzirah, so then why am I going to make the neder? If I make the neder, my Yetzirah will overpower me. So then I'll have two problems. But if he makes the neder, and he wants to connect to Hashem, that's the point. He's trying to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he uses the neder as fortification for his love for Hashem. So of course then the neder will be there to protect him. As we saw the case when it came to Boaz. when Rus was there. So then he made that neder in order to protect him, so he should not get in trouble with his Yetzer Hara. We should never think that we're invincible to the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is very powerful, and if there's something that you're going through in life and you think that you need a little extra help, so you can make a neder for that, and then take that on as a Torah prohibition, like any other Torah prohibition, right?
It almost seems like it's kind of like a piece of armor, or it's like a shield.
Yes.
You in battle against the Yetzer
Hara. Absolutely.
Doesn't our Torah also tell us that it says that that we should value our oaths or our words, and make sure that we fulfill our commitments.
Oh, that's what we were just learning now. Whatever you utter out of your mouth, you have to make sure that you make the statement.
Our Torah says
exactly.
Thank you.
Words are stronger than anything. Words are very, very, very powerful. Words are very, very, very powerful. All right, so that was an interesting idea over there, right? Do we have any questions on that, or we're good?
That's what they say. Chaim v'amoves b'yad haloshon.
But there we go. Look at that. Life and death is dependent on our words. Excellent, Rabbi Yehuda. Wow, excellent.
Rabbi Yehuda scores 1 point.
You get more than 1 point. It is wonderful. It's wonderful. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's do one more piece here on this to understand this, and then we'll do something on Parshas Matot-Masei. If we have time, we'll see. Eila achukim asher tziva Hashem es Moshe bein ish le'ishtai. Bein ish le'ishtai. Very interesting pasuk, right? Eila achukim. These are the laws, the ordinances that Hashem commanded Moshe bein ish le'ishtai, between a husband and a wife. Emunas chachamim nimshach hayedei neder. Emunas chachamim is drawn from neder. How do you see this? This is part of the lesson in Likutei Moharan in the first book, lesson 57. Uvezeh bechinas ma shabal mefer nidrei ishtai ki kol chiyus haisha uvinyana hu al yedei bala. Here, look at this. This is a very interesting idea. Listen to these words. That the Baal, we know that the husband can be made for the neder, right? A lady makes a neder. If he hears the neder on that day, he can nullify the vow that she made, because the wife itself is dependent on the husband. Kamuva b'chinas eina isha mizbereches ella mipri bitnai shel ish. V'ika binyana al yedei neder. The whole idea, the whole thing is based on neder. Ki misham chiyusa, that's where the chiyus comes from. That's what ki emunas chachamim Torah ubal shebal peh bechinas malchus bechinas isha yiras Hashem what binyanana v'chiyusa mimakayim haneder kayadua. Wait. Okay, so it's built, and the life is coming from the place of neder kayadua. The whole shayrish chiyusa shehu bechinas neder. The whole chiyusa, the whole life force comes from this idea of the neder. Hakol nimshach al yodai kihu kolol mishtei bechinas, because he's included from these two aspects. What are the two aspects? Torah shebiksav and Torah shebal peh. Both the oral law and the written law. Ki gam Torah shebal peh shorsha b'Torah shebiksav. We know that the Torah shebal peh, its source is in the Torah shebal peh. The Torah shebal peh is in the source of the Torah shebiksav. Nimsa sheshorish chiyusa, her whole shorish he bebechinas neder nimshach gam al yodai, through him. Ki ein mikabeles chiyus ki im al yodai. She only gets her chiyus through the husband. Al kein abal tekev kishenaisei isha. As soon as the man marries a lady who zayche la'aforas nederah, he's able to be made fair. He can now undo any neder that she made. She made a neder, a vow. He can come and he can be made for that neder. Ki nidarim shemisham sharsha v'chiyusa, because that's the shirish of where it comes. Hakol nimshach al yodei, through the husband, through yodei. Al kain biyodei lahakimam oy lahafer oisam. It's dependent on the husband if he wants it to be mekayim, this neder, or he wants to nullify it. Zeh shesiyama haTorah b'say parshas nidarim ela achukim asher tziva Hashem bein ish leishlay. This is how the Torah ends off the laws of the nidarim, ending the laws of the asher tziva Hashem bein ish leishlay. Ki hanidarim heim advarim shebein ish leishlay. When it comes to nidarim, that's something between a man and his wife. Ki misham nimshach elea hachiyas she'al yedei bala, through the husband. So you see the connection that a husband and a wife has, where the husband is connected to the wife, like you have the Torah Shebal Peh, the Torah Shebiksav. The Torah Shebal Peh is coming from the Torah Shebiksav. The wife is really connected to the husband in that way. Look what the Gemara in Shabbos says. It's a fascinating statement. If a person violates a neder that he made, it can cause that his wife would die. And I want to tell you a quick story on that. It's a beautiful understanding of what this statement is here. There was one time there was a Rebbe that came, that was traveling, and this Rebbe was traveling, and he came to a certain town, and he arrived at this town on Erev Shabbos. He came to the town. Everyone came out to meet the Rebbe. They put on their Shabbos clothes to meet the Rebbe, covered at Torah. And the Rebbe was so happy, and he accepted, and he had nice Kabbalahs upon him. Everything was very, very nice. Okay, so they brought the Rebbe into the house, and everything was nice, and they had a l'chaim. Okay, good. So the Rebbe says now, okay, where's the mikveh? I'd like to go to the mikveh. Rebbe, we have a problem. What's the problem? We don't have a mikveh. What, a town like this with such beautiful yidden, you don't have a mikveh? How could that be? Well, we have a mikveh, but the mikveh is broken. The mikveh is leaking. So we can't use the mikveh. So the Rebbe said, so why don't you fix it? We have no money. And the Rebbe says, there's no one in this town that has money that can fix the mikveh? Well, yeah, there is somebody in the town that has money, but he's a real Thompson. He will not pay anything. He won't pay anything. He will never spend a nickel on anything. So the Rebbe said, I'll tell you what. I'll make sure he pays for the mikveh. They said to him, Rebbe, you don't understand this guy. You don't understand him. He says, don't worry. I'll make sure he pays for the mikveh. All right, so they go through Shabbos. Sunday morning, the Rebbe sends his shamus over to this big Veer's house. He sends his shamus over to the big Veer's house. He knocks on the door, and the Veer opens the door. This rich man opens the door, and he says, the Rebbe is here. Oh, Rebbe, I'm not going to go see no Rebbe. I'm not giving him any money. No, you don't understand. The Rebbe said he wants to give you a blessing, and it's free. You don't have to give him any money. The Rebbe wants to give you a blessing. Are you sure it won't cost me anything? I'm sure. All right, I'll go. So he goes and he gets his jacket, his hat, and he goes with the shamus, and he goes over to the Rebbe. So he sits down in the room where the Rebbe's in, and he tells the Rebbe says to him, okay, I want to give you a bracha. What would you like a bracha for? He says, I don't really need a bracha. I have everything. But the Rebbe said, look, everyone needs something. Don't you want a bracha for something? So he says, I'll tell you what. Maybe everyone go out of the room, and close the shade. Close the shade. All right, so everyone went out of the room, they closed the shade. And the man tells the Rebbe, he says, my wife, give me a bracha that she dies. Give me a bracha that she dies. The Rebbe says, what? Why do you want a bracha that your wife does? She's the worst lady in the world. She's horrible. She's terrible. She does everything wrong and she's very cruel and mean. I don't like her. So why don't you just divorce her? Rebbe, don't you understand? If I divorce her, I'm going to have to give her money. It's going to cost me money. If she dies, the Chevra Kaddish will bury her and it doesn't cost me anything. The Rebbe says, okay, all right, let me think for a second. So the Rebbe thinks for a second. The Rebbe remembers this Gemara in Shabbos that we just read. Ba'ava nidarim ishtoi shel adam meisa chas v'shalom. Right? So the Rebbe says like this. He says like this. I have an idea. Go to shul at mincha time. After they finish mincha, give a bang on the bima and say, I make a neder that I will pay for the mikveh, to fix up the mikveh. And then don't do it. And don't do it. Now, you made a neder, you made a vow, and you didn't fulfill your vow. And if you don't fulfill your vow, then your wife will die. He says, Rebbe, you're a genius. Thank you. So he goes back home, comes mincha time, he runs to shul. After they finish mincha, the kaddish, he bangs on the bima. He says, I want everyone to know that I'm going to pay for the mikveh. I make a promise, and then that I'm going to pay for the mikveh. So the gabbai, the gabbai in the shul runs over to him. Okay, can I have a check? No, I'm not going to give you the check. I'm not paying for the mikveh. We knew you weren't going to give any money. We knew you're not going to give anything. All right, good. He goes home. He's so happy. He's so happy now. And he comes back. He comes back to the Rebbe the next week. The Rebbe stayed in town for a while, and he says to the Rebbe, he says, I got to tell you something. I don't think this is working. I don't think this is working. Why? What do you mean? He says, my wife is stronger now than she ever was. Ever since I made this neder, she's healthier and stronger than she ever was. This is not working. So he says to the man, he says like this: are you nice to your wife? You want me to be nice to her? Well, he says yes. What do you mean? If you're not nice to her and you're yelling at her and you're screaming at her and you're embarrassing her, so the Gemara also says that if you embarrass somebody, and they feel the embarrassment, they could save their life. So what you're actually doing is every time you're embarrassing your wife and you're yelling at her, you're saving her life. All right, so what do I have to do? Well, you have to be nice to your wife. Come on, Rebbe, what do you mean I have to be nice? Well, if you want you made a neder that if you're going to pay for the mikveh and you didn't pay for the mikveh and you want her to die. Now, if you want her to die, and you keep cursing her out, and you keep being nasty to her, and you keep embarrassing her and insulting her, she keeps being alive. She gets stronger. She saves her life. So what do you have to do? You have to be nice to her. What does that mean? He says, well, you have to be nice to her, and you have to tell her good morning, and you have to give her encouragement, and you have to thank her for everything that she does, and you have to give her money to spend. What? I got to give her money? Yes, you got to give her. You want her to die, you got to give her money. So he says, all right, fine, I'll do that. So he goes home, and he said, now nice to his wife. Hello, dear, how are you? He's friendly to his wife. She couldn't believe what was going on. He never did this before. And she made him dinner. Oh, dear, this was the best dinner that ever was. He would always yell at it, it's burnt, and it's dry, and it's no good. This was the best dinner you ever made. Thank you very much. And he says to his wife, and how much money do you need to go to the market? How much would you like? Oh, she says, I need 200 rubles. Here, I'll give you 300 rubles. He gives her 300. Oh, wow, okay. All right, so she goes and buys everything. Okay, everything's going well. And he's noticing that she's really not such a bad lady. He's noticing she's really a nice lady. He didn't realize that because he was always so mean, but he's realizing she's really a nice lady. And he notices that she's getting like a cold. She's getting a cold now. So he goes running back to the Rebbe, and he says to the Rebbe, he says, listen, I don't know what to do. I thought all these years my wife was this terrible, terrible lady. I didn't know she was a nice lady. And therefore I came to you and I told you that I wanted her to die because I didn't want to be with her anymore. But I didn't want to have to pay. So the Rebbe says, he says, what can I do now, Rebbe? So the Rebbe said, well, listen, you made the neder that you're going to pay for the mikveh. So now if you fulfill your neder, your wife will live. He says, what do you mean I have to pay for the mikveh now? You want your wife to live? Yes. So pay. So he ran to the Gabbai, and then not only did he pay for the mikveh, they built a brand new building. They built a brand new building and had a brand new mikveh that was dedicated by him because of this. So you see here how words, look how words are, how important words are, right? The person makes a neder. This is what we say, that the wife is dependent on the husband's dependent on the wife. What does that mean? That means the words are so powerful. We can make a neder, we can make a relationship, we can break a relationship. It's all with how our perspective. It's all about our perspective in life. If we understand that people are generally good people, find the good. Rabbi Nachman says you have to be mechapes and the nekuda taiva in everybody. Find the good point in every single Jew. There is good in every Jew. Even a Jew that's not involved in Torah and mitzvahs. But don't think that Jew doesn't have a good point. Every person has something good, and every person has something good, and you have to focus on the good. Focus on the good. This is the greatest thing that we can do in this time that we're in. We're in the time of Bein HaMetzarim. We're in this time. What's the greatest thing is to look at everybody and judge everybody favorably. Judge all Jews favorably. That's the best thing that we can do. Why? Because that is ahavas chinam. That is loving someone with baseless love. Ahavas chinam, which is baseless love instead of baseless hatred. So we have to make the tikkun for why we had the Churban Beis HaMikdash. How do we make the tikkun? We make the tikkun by showing Hashem that we respect and we love all Jews, no matter what they are. Like we said, the difference between wine, matas, and masa, like we started. The two parshiyos that have nothing to do with one another, but yet they're connected to show us that even though I have nothing to do with this other Jew, a guy comes into shul, I never saw this guy, he looks a little strange. Who cares? I love him. He's a Yid. He's a Yid. He's a Jew. I love him. It doesn't matter. He came to shul. Think about it. Well, the guy did all this, but he's came to shul. He's answering Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah. Right? He's going to say Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh. Right? He's going to say Baruch Hu es Hashem HaMavayra. How bad can the guy be? Hey, the guy came to shul. Right? The guy came to shul. How bad can he be? Right? Rather than looking and finding something wrong with the guy. And again, when it comes to rebuking, the same way Moshe Rabbeinu rebuked at the end of his life. He didn't do it before. We have to understand that we have to be very careful of how we say things to people. And the most important thing is to make sure you're not guilty of that same thing. Because the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says, you can only see a fault in somebody else if you contain the same fault yourself. If you don't contain the same fault yourself, you can't see the fault in the other person. So if you realize that if I see something wrong in that person, I'm looking at the mirror. I'm looking in the mirror. It's really me. And I know I have to make the rectification. And that's the greatest thing we can do is we make tshuva. The greatest thing is to make tshuva, to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How do you make tshuva to come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Via realizing how special every Yid is and realizing that Baal Kein Yaakov Kishahalach Lisa Isha Nadar Neder. Yaakov Avinu made a neder when he went to marry his wife. Ki posek v'yidor Yaakov neder nema kishalach lebeis Lavan Lisa Isha. He went to Beis Lavan. When he was going there, he made a vow. Why did he make a vow? He made the vow because again he wanted to be successful. He wanted to be successful. How are you going to be successful? Because you make a neder. Our words are so very, very important. So I want to thank everyone that joined us for the shir today. Thank you very, very much. And those that are going to listen to the shir in the future, those that are going to listen to the shir in the future, those that are going to listen to the shir in the future, I thank you also. And everyone, kol tuv.
Yasher koach.